say again hello?
Hello, hello.
That's so cute.
Hello, hello.
So my name's Britlin Gallagher Doyle, and I live in Pleasant Grove. I'm married to Brandon Doyle, and I have 4 kids. So I wanted to be an author since I was about 5. And I told my parents that, and they didn't laugh at me. And actually, that's in my acknowledgments, I say that. And they believed that I would be. And so I always wanted to be, and I always thought I'm gonna be like a teenage author, and then I'm gonna be like an adult author, and then it kind of kept getting put off. When I was 16, I wrote a first chapter in our basement on our old computer, and it was a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, but I called it Waking Beauty because I wanted to start when she woke up. And so then that computer crashed and I lost it all, but it was fine. And I just kind of forgot about it because I'd started a lot of things. So it was like, whatever, you know. But then I was in a class at BYU, it was a creative writing class, and we had to do these writing samples every week. And so one of them, I just kind of brought back that first chapter idea, and I just kind of rewrote it a little bit for fun because I had to do just something random every week. And he was like, oh, I love this, this is great. And I was like, oh, cool. And then later on, I took another class, creative writing for adolescents, and in the novel section where we were working on a novel, I brought that idea back again, and I started writing a few more scenes, and I was trying to figure out, you know, the plot and how it could really work, and it kind of changed some of the ideas and kind of got an idea for the story as a whole, but I still only had about 40 pages written at different parts of the book, not in order. And so then, over the next lot of years, I would just work on it periodically, and my husband Brandon's always like, you gotta work on your book, you gotta do it, because it's your dream, you gotta write it. And so I kind of work on it here and there, and we started having kids and it was getting busy, and so I would just try and work on it here and there. And so finally it got done, so I finished it. I wanted to do Sleeping Beauty because I feel like she's the most boring princess. She doesn't really do anything ever, especially in the Disney movie, and really I guess just the original fairy tale. She's basically asleep for her whole life, and she just doesn't really do anything ever. In Ella Enchanted, she takes this idea of Cinderella and gives her a lot of gumption, and it's all about girl power, which I loved and I still love. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give her a chance to grow and not just be this kind of doormat princess who doesn't make any choices and just wakes up and has things happen to her. I wanted her to start making some choices. So that's where I got inspired for this book. And as far as little bits and pieces, I would just say ideas come from all over. There's a scene in a forest where some trees start going crazy, and that was back when I was a teenager and my family was living in Austria, and we would go on these walks in the wood, and there was this woods area, this forest area, and they had just tons of logs on the ground, and I was like, what if those logs came alive and started jumping around? And years later I was like, I'm gonna put that in my book. This book, I'm hoping that not all of my books will take this long. This is basically a 14-year process because I started when I was 16 and it came out when I was 30. So it was a long time, and I wasn't writing that whole time. It doesn't take 14 years to write, but it was very much a stop and go process. So for me, it's hard because I would write the scenes that were interesting to me. I wrote the beginning, I really liked that, and then I wrote the emotional climax scene, and then an action climax scene, and then I kind of wrote an ending, and I wrote this scene because I thought, oh, that's going to build that part of the story, and this is a cool scene. And then comes the really hard part, which is connecting the dots, is what I call it. And it's basically writing filler scenes, but you can't have them feel like filler scenes. They can't be blah, 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 and how we have a good part. It all has to be good parts. So that was tricky to kind of connect all of the scenes that I liked to write. I mean, I liked writing them all, but it was harder to get into okay, how do we get to this exciting part and make it not seem forced? So that was tricky, and that was kind of just you have to bite the bullet and just do it, and you just have to write. And sometimes it's not going to sound good, and you have to throw it out and do it again. I would say the easiest aspect of writing is just that it makes me happy. So it's it's a creative outlet that is just really fun, and when things do go well, it's just so nice to be like, I like that dialogue. That's a cute exchange. And sometimes when I'd be editing, I'd go back and be like, oh, I forgot I wrote that. I kind of like that part. So it's really hard to balance being a mom and being a writer and finding the time to like prioritize both. So Maisie, my baby, was born in July, and this came out in August. And it was not great timing because we had some signings and we had different things to do, and I was expected to do a lot of marketing, and I had a newborn. And so that was kind of tricky. Well, the day-to-day, I think that you just have to choose to make time for it. And sometimes I'm better at that than other times. So I go through phases where I'm really inspired and I'm writing a lot, and then other times when I just don't have time for it. I want to get to the point where I have a set time that I write every day, and my kids just know that. Hopefully it'll be like a quiet reading time for them or something. That's the goal. But yeah, a lot of times I'm just writing on the go, like ideas. My hope when someone reads this is that they feel, boy or girl, that they feel empowered, that they feel like her whole idea is she grew up always being told what would happen to her, and then she realizes she's now in the future where she doesn't know what will happen, and she starts to start making choices for herself, and she has to realize that happily ever after isn't as simple as it might seem, and you can choose and create your own happily ever after, and it might not look exactly like what you thought, but it can be even better. So, and also I really want, there's a big theme of imperfections not being a bad thing. Like, so she grew up so perfect from all of her fairy gifts, and then she has to realize that individuality is more important and gives her more joy than perfection. So I hope that message comes across to a reader, that imperfection is good in their appearance and their things. They don't have to be flawless, you know, and individuality is good, and that, yeah, you can make choices for yourself and be strong. So if you want to read a great fairy tale, check out Waking Beauty. You can find it on Amazon.